Verizon has buyer's remorse. Tinder's AI will help you find a date, and Google's AI will help you keep them. Periscope goes pro, and a review of the new Echo Dot. All that and a whole lot more coming up on Tech News Today.
This is Twit.
Bandwidth for Tech News Today is provided by CacheFly at CacheFly.com.
This is Tech News Today, episode 1619, recorded Thursday, October 13th, 2016.
This episode of Tech News Today is brought to you by LinkedIn Learning. Develop talent and keep skills current with expert-led on-demand e-learning. To request a demo for your organization or to get a free individual trial, visit learning.linkedin.com/twit.
And by Jira Service Desk from Atlassian. Jira Service Desk delivers everything your IT team needs out of the box at a cost-effective price. For a free trial of Jira Service Desk, visit atlassian.com/twit.
And by ZipRecruiter. Are you hiring? With ZipRecruiter.com, you can post to 100-plus job sites, including social networks, all with a single click. Screen, rate, and hire the right candidates fast. Try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/twit. Welcome to Tech News Today. This is the show where we tell you everything you need to know about technology that happened in the recent past. And we are the Spartan cheerleaders of tech news.
Go, go, go. I don't know. That's all I got. I'm Jason Howell. Spartan.
You from Saturday Night Live.
Those cheerleaders.
Yeah, it's unfair of me to just throw this at you.
It's okay.
We should prepare. I'll give you my list.
I enjoy not knowing, but yeah, I didn't know the Saturday Night Live thing. Is this like modern Saturday Night Live or old Saturday Night Live?
Yeah, well, like 90s,
okay,
late 90s, 2000s.
I definitely tuned out by then.
You did?
Yeah, SNL doesn't have the best. Oh, okay. Now I know.
Okay.
Now I know what you're talking about.
Okay, good.
That was an era of SNL that I really didn't pay a whole lot of attention to. Although there were great people came out of it, but
they did,
I don't know. SNL was just so rocky. At a certain point, I lost trust. I lost trust in SNL.
Well, I'm glad I don't prepare you because then we all learn something important.
Yes, something that has nothing to do with technology.
Right. So now let's get to the technology news. In today's Samsung recall update, the Consumer Product Safety Commission has officially recalled the Galaxy Note 7. Officially, really this time. The official recall says that there have been 96 reports of batteries overheating in the U.S., including 23 new reports since the September 15th recall announcement. That was the first one. Samsung has received 13 reports of burns and 47 reports of property damage. Now, if you return your Note 7 for another Galaxy phone, you will get $100 off. If you decide on another brand, you will get $25 off. But I think it's probably best just to get the money and buy a new phone. And you've had such a great experience returning your phone.
Tell us about it. It's been beautiful. So this is my second time dealing with a return. The first time I had the original, I never opened it. I did the return. It actually went super smoothly. I talked to someone 10 minutes later. They said I was going to get it. Actually, I correct that. It went super smoothly, and then out of nowhere, I got a random email from Samsung that had me redo some of the stuff I did on the phone, and then I got the box and I shipped it back. All things were good. This time, earlier today, I called the 800 number that was on the CPSC's site for facilitating the return to Samsung. I went through part of the process with a lady. She was very nice. Then I got disconnected. So I had to call back and start over again. So I called the same number, started over. But when I told him the same thing I told the lady, he said, actually, this isn't the right number. You need to call this other number. So then I called that number, and then I was told, this is not the right number. You need to call our e-commerce department. And so I said, okay, well, what's the e-commerce number? So they gave me that number, and apparently it was not actually e-commerce, because when I asked if it was, they said, no, this is not the e-commerce department. Let me transfer you through. I said, well, before you transfer me through, can I get the numbers that if I get disconnected, I can give them a call? And he said, yes, that number is 1-800-SAMSUNG. So then he transferred me through and the office was closed. So apparently I got to try again tomorrow.
That's the worst. And it's the worst. And it's such a common experience on a phone tree. But when you're dealing with a phone that you want to return because it might catch fire and that you can't use anymore, you'd expect better.
Well, personally, I would probably expect, because it's a worldwide recall, that it wouldn't be locked into just an office that's open Eastern hours in the U.S., but maybe that's because I bought it in the U.S. So whatever. I mean, customer service calls like that happens, and you're mildly frustrated when it does, and then I realize, hey, that's not a big deal. I'll just wait until tomorrow and do it. Or the next day that I feel motivated. That's the problem. You get motivated to do it, and then when you finally try and do it, it doesn't happen. It might take me a couple of days before I'm up to it again.
Yeah, so if you're watching this episode, you will see the reboxing video. This is the official Samsung reboxing video. I think I want reboxing videos to become a thing, like unboxing videos.
It's a great idea. Well, why did I not do this when I got it a couple of weeks ago?
Well, you have another chance. What was great about this reboxing video is not only that people, like you said, have been making a big deal about the fireproof box, because you had a fireproof box before.
Yeah, I mean, it's the same thing.
But there are rubber gloves they send you rubber gloves.
Yeah.
Did you have rubber gloves the first time?
They were included. I did not use them.
They're
Maybe
not,
I should have.
They're not for in case it catches fire. Like, apparently some people have issues with the fireproof, that white material of the boxes. Some people are allergic to it. It's partly fiberglass, Berg says.
Yeah, it very well could be. I didn't inspect it.
Or something.
I really didn't inspect it. I mean, it feels like foam.
Okay.
It feels kind of squishy like foam.
Yeah.
If I remember correctly.
Right.
So, yeah, there you go. Reboxing videos. Who knew?
Yeah, let's do it. We should start it.
Yahoo's unprecedented security breach disclosure from 3 weeks ago has cast a shadow over Verizon's potential purchase of the company, and we've been wondering if it would affect the sale price or even put a halt to the deal altogether. Verizon's general counsel spoke to reporters and said there's a reasonable basis for impact on the deal to be material, meaning the disclosures could actually directly affect Yahoo's value, which could make the deal less likely to continue under the current agreement. His counsel says that Yahoo needs to demonstrate the full impact to prove that it won't actually impact Yahoo's business significantly. Yahoo followed up with a statement expressing its confidence in Yahoo's value and dedication to making the integration happen as planned. I think, really, ultimately, this is just business as usual, right? When you're doing a deal and something comes along and you have the ability to shave billions of dollars potentially off the deal, you do that. And I'm pretty sure that's what's going on here. But still, Yahoo, I mean, there was a report that a former Yahoo executive that was familiar with kind of the security practices behind the scenes pegged the number more around 1 billion accounts as opposed to 500 million. Basically, Yahoo said at least 500 million, right? And this person said that all of Yahoo's products use a single user database for authentication. And in 2014, that sat around 700 million to 1 billion users. So it could be much more. Maybe that's more impact.
Yeah, I mean, I think it is business as usual, but this looks really bad for Yahoo.
For sure.
And so, I mean, I guess they're just putting the onus on Yahoo to prove it's not material.
Yeah.
And so, I don't know. Or maybe it is just buyer's remorse, like $4.83 billion of buyer's remorse on the part of Verizon.
Did we really do that? It's like they woke up the next morning like, I got so drunk last night, I bought Yahoo. Why did I do that? That's Verizon.
Right, yeah, they're looking for an escape clause, but I don't know. It's like we talked about who's going to buy them for so long, and then we thought, oh, it's finally over, but it is not over.
It'll never be over. It's one of those stories. It'll never go away. Kind of like Samsung Note 7.
Yeah, well, let's talk about something more interesting, like Tinder.
Sure.
Dating app Tinder tweaked its algorithm to do the job that you cannot do and that your best friend will not do. Tinder's smart photos will tell you which of your selfie profile pics are the best one to use. The company announced that when you turn on smart photos in the app, it'll display various profile photos to determine which photo people swipe right on the most. That's what Tinder calls the most swipe-worthy you.
Swiping right means
right.
Good?
Right is good, yes.
Okay.
It means I want something from you. Unclear what exactly. That I don't know.
Something in air quotes.
Basically, they're A/B testing you as if you're like a new website they're designing. And it's further than that. It's weirder than that. So some people will never swipe right on certain, people with hats or something like that. And so your photo, if you are wearing a hat, that photo won't be shown first to those people. So it's kind of like faking, doing the work of faking who you are when you meet someone, right? Like that work we've always done ourselves, like pretending you're someone that you're not when you first meet someone. So yeah, it's a little weird, but I think it makes sense. The complaints that I hear from my Tinder using friends of people, most of them are women that are doing the complaining, that men who take pictures in mirrors, because that's weird, because like, don't you know how to take a selfie? You don't really need a mirror, right? So photos with other women, that's a thing. Like if you're a woman looking for a man, and then their profile pictures often have other women in them.
This is what I could look like if I was standing with you in a picture.
Yes, exactly. And photos doing extreme sports. That's like, but I mean, those might just be my friends.
That shows how tough they are.
Yeah. Well, this is purely my Tinder using friends, which is a small use case, or test case, I guess.
So I think someone needs to do some sort of a study of the 20 best different profile photos you should add to your account, so that the right one is always presented to the right person. So maybe there's like 20 really good scenarios, like you with a dog, you profile picture, you in the mirror, and then and that's actually, I mean, I'm saying it in jest, but that's kind of what's going on here, right? They're using their AI, their machine learning, to understand what each of the users actually likes, statistically over time, and swipes right on versus swipes left on, so that if that person is a dog lover, you would end up seeing this person's profile pic if they have a dog in it, and be more likely to be swipe righted.
Swiped on?
Swiped on.
I don't know.
Swiped on sounds weird to me. But.
They are doing this research. Yeah. Tinder has a resident sociologist, and they say people are more likely to swipe left. That's the bad one. If you're not smiling, if you're covering your face even a little bit, and if you're in a group of people, if you're wearing a hat. So apparently a lot of people don't like photos with people in hats. I don't know why. Or if you're wearing any kind of glasses.
Well, I mean, but the glasses one doesn't necessarily, but all those other ones seem to have an air of hiding something. Wearing a hat. Well, so are you bald? Or covering your face. What are you covering? Or you know what I mean? Glasses, maybe not so much. Maybe glasses is just a taste thing. Like you either like people with glasses or you don't. Yeah. Maybe your eyes. Yeah, maybe something like that. I mean, ultimately, as we've all learned on the internet, over years and years and years, people appreciate when they know that the person on the other side of the glass, the computer, is being genuine about themselves and whatever. And that's kind of what's at the core here. What I think is interesting is it really shows that Tinder, seems to be a company that's all about, dating and hookups and all this kind of stuff. It's really about big data. It's really about collecting a lot of information about its users and, probably making that useful to them in the form of advertising or whatever, but really tracking not just the things that you've told it, I'm male, I'm this age, I'm this tall, whatever, but also a lot of other things about your preferences. And that kind of stuff is obviously being put to use. So just interesting that they have all of that stuff about you.
It is. And I mean, I don't think that Tinder is really like changing the way that I saw a TED talk about this. Tinder is not changing the way we love each other. It's the way we find each other, which is, it's not, I mean, after you find the right person using Tinder or whatever, or the old fashioned way, in a bar, at work, whatever, all the ways people in life, yes, church, all the ways people find other people. But, it's like what you do after, which is still up to you. No AI is going to help you there.
No, not yet anyways. Google's AI, speaking of, is continuing to improve its Google Photos product with some new features, interesting features to come along, including the automatic creation of animated GIFs that's pulled from videos in a user's library. It used to do this with like series photographs. Now it's pulling it from videos in your library with machine learning that recognizes when an activity is taking place inside the videos. Activity could be, like a smile, or it could be you jumping from the dock into the lake or something along those lines. It would find that part of the video and make an animated GIF out of it. Another feature jumps back in time to look at relationships that a user might have with others, pulling out a collection of photos that link those two people together. So, you and your significant other over time, and it would kind of combine all that into a nice little catalog or album or whatever. The AI will also pull out your best photos from the month focused on a person or theme. That could be good in this case, as an example, it would be good for like tracking, let's say your child, a small child, through the course of the month, pulling the best photos of that kid. And finally, and this is probably my favorite because I've been wondering how long it was going to take them to do this, The AI can recognize photos that aren't rotated correctly and fix those automatically, because I've imported so many photos into Google Photos and I just don't have the time to go into each individual one, rotate, then save out. I'm like, this should be the easiest thing in the world. There's a horizon in the background. There's people standing there with all of the image recognition. It should know that I'm standing sideways and go bloop and put my head up here and my feet down there. Like, that should be easy. So now they've got that, and one of my long-term requests has been fulfilled.
Yeah, and I take back what I just said, that AI can't help you with your relationship. Because clearly, if it can pull out all the pictures, but then what if it pulls out the pictures of you and someone else and says, here are these special people in your life? That could
awkward.
Be,
yeah. We need a way to tell Google Photos, like, I'm not with that person anymore. We're not friends.
Yeah,
whatever.
I'm sure that happens a lot. That is the thing with AI on Facebook, and I mean, it does sometimes bring up pictures that you really would rather not see.
For sure.
Mm-hmm. Well, and the greatest thing about Google Photos, I think, is it just does all this. It does it all in the background. You don't have to think about it. If you have it turned on, you just open it up occasionally and you're like, wow, it collected all these great photos and made things out of them. And
although now I kind of take it for granted. I get those notifications every day where it's like, we created this auto blah, 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 and I just swipe it anymore. I don't even actually really look at them. They probably all collected inside the app, and every once in a while I'll go through and save them into my library if they're any good. But I used to like wait for them and be like, oh, what's it going to come up with this time? Now, not so much.
Right, but then if you ever want to, like, if it's someone's birthday and you want to collect all the pictures of that one person, it's so easy.
For sure.
Well, another day, another study on fitness trackers. This one comes from researchers at Cleveland Clinic, who say the accuracy of wrist-worn optical-based heart rate monitors is uncertain at best. Of the 4 devices tested, the Apple Watch, the Fitbit Charge HR, the Mio Fuse, and the Basis Peak, the Apple Watch was the most accurate. However, none were as accurate as the monitor that you strap to your chest. Apple had a 90% success rate, where those others that were tested had a 80% success rate. And the EKG, which they also strapped to people, that had a 99% accurate. That was 99% accurate. This was done with 50 healthy volunteers who ran with the EKG and also the wearable.
I mean, I kind of always have felt that the heart rate monitors that are included in these wearables, at least in like the Android Wear devices, because those are the only ones I've used. I've not used a Fitbit, and I know those are more like geared for fitness, so maybe they're better. But I always felt like the ones that were included in the watches were kind of neat at best, but not something that you would necessarily rely on. I never felt like they gave you 100% like totally trustworthy readouts, partially because they move a lot on your wrist. They're not pushed up. I mean, the ones that you wear like around your body, those are pressed up. Those are there. They're a specific purpose. They're set up, designed to do that. This just seemed like another feature for the feature set. So I'm not surprised at all that they're not as accurate as this kind of study has pointed out. Basis Peak, by the way, has been discontinued. So that's completely off the market. Fitbit currently there's a class action lawsuit in the works for just this very reason. A bunch of people basically complaining that heart rate monitoring with the Fitbit devices was inaccurate and on the low side. So it was undershooting the readout, which means that if you're trying to hit a certain point, a person might overwork themselves in order to get that heart rate reading up. And that could be dangerous.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. So. Well, Periscope is going pro. Kurt Wagner is here to explain. But first, let's take a minute to thank LinkedIn Learning, the sponsor of this episode. The shelf life of skills is less than 5 years, and so many of today's fastest growing categories didn't even exist 5 years ago. Introducing LinkedIn Learning. It's personalized, expert-led, on-demand e-learning from LinkedIn. You can keep your team engaged. LinkedIn Learning is the perfect way to promote professional development. They will identify the precise skills you or your organization needs to achieve set goals, and will create personalized recommendations using LinkedIn's network intelligence. Your team will have access to more than 9,000 courses, and more than 25 courses are added every week. Their library includes courses taught by world-class industry experts and covers topics ranging from leadership skills to design principles and programming. You can learn anytime, anywhere with their bite-sized segments that can be viewed on any device, online or off. They can help with immediate problem solving and can be downloaded to learn on the go. It's the perfect way to help team members close a skills gap without interrupting your latest project. Team solutions are available for as little as $2,000. Grow your network and your career. Visit learning.linkedin.com/twit to request a demo for your organization or to get a free individual trial. That's learning.linkedin.com/twit. And we thank LinkedIn Learning for their support of Tech News Today.
So Twitter has a new tool that they announced today to bring more professional content to Periscope. Joining us to talk about Periscope Producer is Kurt Wagner from Recode. How's it going, Kurt?
Hi, how are you guys?
Excellent. It's great talking with you again. So tell us a little bit about how this new feature set works.
So the point of this is that you don't need a smartphone to use Periscope, you can broadcast on things that are better than a smartphone. So for example, if you were a news organization, you could use your high def cameras. You could use editing software, put a lower third or an upper third. You could put pre-roll ads. Basically anything you can do to either capture or edit live video, you can now do and then share that feed onto Periscope. So the point is not for probably you guys or myself or other kind of general Periscope users, but think about the professional content creators out there, for example, news organizations that might want to broadcast from a breaking news event, and they want to do so on Periscope. Now they can do it thanks to this update that they announced today.
Is this the kind of thing that that professionals would have to choose what platform they're streaming to, or depending on their system, like it wouldn't matter? They could stream to Periscope, they could stream to Facebook Live, as long as they have the back end to kind of support it. It's not just to one single place, right?
Yeah, so the way that it's set up with this Periscope thing is actually, so if you're a producer, you're funneling your live feed, which could be edited, multiple camera, whatever, but the live feed you're funneling to a URL that is Periscope specific, but that doesn't necessarily mean, as far as I know, that you couldn't also be, broadcasting in other places. In fact, it would be I actually know for a fact you would be able to continue to broadcast over television, for example, and broadcast simultaneously on Periscope. So I don't think this would eliminate any other possibilities. I think it's just simply offering up a new, an additional option for people.
Sure.
So Facebook has been paying content producers to live stream from Facebook in order to, spread the platform, get people excited about it. Is Twitter doing the same thing with Periscope?
No, so Twitter has never paid, claims that it has never paid media companies to create Periscopes. And the argument from them is that if you're being paid and in some ways like being forced to do it, I mean, full disclosure, Vox Media, which owns Recode, we have a deal with Facebook, which requires us to do a certain number of, Facebook Lives. I don't know if it's every week or every month, whatever. And to be, they're not always great, right? Because it's like, oh, we need to come up with a certain number of them, and live video can be hard to do. And so Periscope's argument would be, well, we're not paying people to do this because we don't want them to be in that situation where they feel that they have to do this, and as a result, they do something that's not super high quality. Facebook, of course, is taking the other approach, which is like, well, let's try and get as much of this content out there, get people familiar with it, get news organizations familiar with it. I don't know where I kind of lean in terms of the most appropriate way. I kind of think that the pushing people towards it does have its benefits, but I will admit that it doesn't always look great if you're required to do it.
Well, yeah, that's interesting that you say like it's better content when you're doing it just because you have content to deliver, right, as opposed to a contract. I was wondering, does this seem more legitimate in a way because there's not a deal between the content producer and Facebook?
So you mean for Twitter, like, is it more legitimate if folks do it?
Yeah, I guess I was. You obviously have a deal, and you're a journalist, so you're not like you are unbiased towards Facebook because you're a journalist. So you're not when you're Facebook Live, you're not like saying how great Facebook Live is or how great the platform is. And obviously, you're allowed to sing the praises of other platforms, right?
Sure. Oh yeah. I mean, I know from our like I said, some of the stuff we do on Facebook Live isn't, in my opinion, not the best, and that's stuff that we are creating, and they are paying us. And when I say they're paying us, I'm not seeing that money. It is going to Vox Media, obviously. So it is a decision that's been made high above my pay grade. But my point being is that, like, if you, and I thought you said it well, if you're going live because you have something cool that you want to show, that is always going to be better than going live because you are obligated to. And so the question, though, with Periscope is like, how often then are people going to have something that they're willing to share live on Periscope? Like, is the audience there big enough for them to take the time and effort if they're not being paid to make Periscope a priority? And I would imagine that's going to be a real challenge for people.
Yeah, and a real challenge for Periscope to differentiate itself or pull itself away from, in number of views from Facebook Live, which just has an insane pool of potential viewers. YouTube also is doing this. Again, a lot of viewers and kind of the infrastructure. People are already there to watch, so it's a lot easier. Periscope has a lot to prove. I mean, case in point, Facebook just today launched the ability to stream Facebook Live to the TV. I mean, do you think that kind of points to the competitors kind of being just a few steps ahead of Periscope when it comes to this type of stuff?
Yeah, well, in terms of competitors, I really think it's just Facebook at this point. YouTube obviously offers a live streaming capability, but it's very different. It was kind of always, as far as I know, intended for folks who are making professional type stuff. Right. It wasn't like for you and I to use our smartphones to go live on YouTube, whereas Facebook and Twitter, or Facebook and Periscope, that was very much the intention. I think that Facebook has a bigger team. I think Facebook has more resources. They certainly are. They feel a few steps ahead of Periscope in a lot of ways. And I think the television thing is interesting because it implies that the content on Facebook Live is going to be good enough that you're going to want to kick back and watch it, right? Like maybe I'm going to watch on the couch and I'm going to watch a television show streamed live over Facebook or a news report. I just don't really feel like we're there yet, honestly. I haven't seen enough compelling stuff on any of these platforms that's going to make me want to kick back and relax on my couch and watch on television. I think that's the big challenge, right? Is like, how do you get someone who's already producing for TV to say Facebook or Twitter is important enough that we're going to make that a priority? And I just don't think anyone's done it yet with the right material.
Yeah, that is the big challenge. And I think it also kind of proves how I've felt, at least lately, about live streaming, all these live apps for streaming onto the internet. They were created to a certain degree around, we're enabling you, random person, to live stream your life to the internet. And what I think it's kind of turned into is just the fact that isn't always the most compelling content in the world. Like, somebody has to figure out why they're live streaming it. And then the bigger challenge is somebody has to figure out why they're going to watch it. Right. And so, maybe this, at least on Twitter's part, and then Facebook Live is also, built this out, and the move to TV kind of proves this as well. Maybe what they're realizing now is if they really want these products to shine, they have to get quality content in that you do want to watch on your TV, let's say, or on the network at all, which is why Periscope Producer even exists in the first place, to elevate the quality of the content, because the person decides to stream content isn't quite as compelling.
Yeah, I think that's exactly right. And I mean, we saw Meerkat. I don't know if you two remember Meerkat. That was the whole reason that app really didn't work, and why they pivoted into more of like a video chat feature, was they just couldn't get people to. They had an audience, right? There were people who were willing to kind of like come and watch, but there was not enough good, high quality material for them to distribute. And so I don't know. I don't know what the fix is for that, because so much of life, as much as we'd love to think like, oh, wouldn't it be fun to broadcast my walk from work? There are very few people. Maybe my grandmother, if she could figure out how to download Periscope, maybe she would want to watch that. But I can't think of many other people who would.
Yeah.
Well, if you think about it, I mean, that is exactly what people said about Twitter in the beginning. Like, why would I just want to see what people had for lunch? Or why would I, or that's what they said about blogs.
That's true.
And you think about, I mean, Twitter has really, we spent a lot of time thinking about who's going to buy Twitter and why. And if you think about what's great about Twitter is we have the ability to choose exactly who we follow. And it's so easy to follow or unfollow. If someone starts saying things that we're not interested in or that we don't agree with, it's so easy to unfollow them. And, the best people who tweet, I think, are people who have owned that medium. It's that many characters. They can be funny, and it's like that attention.
They know how to deliver in that limited space.
And it's so short. And then we move on to the next thing. But then taken as a whole, like we've talked about this, like this weekend, when all this crazy news breaks, and you have all these people that, if you've been working on your Twitter feed for a while, you're getting the smartest stuff at you, the funniest. But
Right.
like so maybe like it just has growth. Like we have to figure out who's great in this medium.
Right.
Same thing with Vine. Like, now that I have the Twitter app on my Apple TV, that's how I watch the debates. But that's also how I sometimes watch Vines. Like you can do the Twitter app. It's like, oh, well, I've got some minutes. I'm sitting on the couch. I'm going to watch some Vines. So I don't know. Maybe it just takes some growth and people who get really good at this medium. And maybe it's not, it won't be people's walk to work. Or it'll be somebody who's great at walking to work, right?
Like the best work walker ever. Yeah.
I think that's fair. I think here's the big thing I want to see. I want to see them put Periscope directly into Twitter, right? Like I don't want to have to go to a different app. Megan, you mentioned, I don't know if we were rolling yet or not, but we did a Periscope earlier today. You said you were watching on the web. You couldn't click, you couldn't comment, you couldn't heart. And it's just like, that stinks, right? What is there? Why is there not a go live button in my Twitter app where I click that, open the camera, and broadcast all from the same app? That way I have all of the followers that I've accumulated on Twitter. All the people who are already on Twitter can like and comment and participate. I just, at this point, I don't see the benefit of having Periscope as a separate app. And I think that if they really want to get this live streaming thing kind of more mainstream, then they put it in the app that the mainstream people use. And as of right now, it's not. So that will be, to me, the big signal that like they're ready to, I don't know, give it a real good push whenever that happens. I have to imagine they've thought about it, and I'm just waiting for it to happen.
Sure. Yeah, I completely agree. Kurt Wagner, always a pleasure getting you on, man. Really appreciate it. Tell people where they can follow your work online.
Yeah, thank you for having me. I am at recode.net is where you can read all of the good stuff we write. And then I'm Kurt Wagner 8 on Twitter.
Fantastic. Thanks again, Kurt. We'll talk to you soon.
Thanks, guys. Take care.
Bye.
Craig from Cheyenne writes about our discussion with Tom on Tuesday about what to replace your Note 7 with. He says, are there any alternative phones on today's market that use a stylus? I'm not sure of any short of the Note series. And don't forget that the Note 5 has had its problems inserting stylus backwards, permanently jams, and older models are no longer updated. So what do you think about any phones with stylus?
Well, I mean, there kind of are. There are phones that, have there's a phone, for example, it's called the LG Stylus 2. But when you're getting a Note, you are getting it for the stylus, probably. You're also getting it because it's a premium device. And there's just no phones out there that do that are like the top of the line, cream of the crop, best hardware in class, as well as expanded, S Pen functionality. S Pen, Samsung would say S Pen is not a stylus. It's more than that, because it's not just a stupid peg that draws on your screen. It has like built-in functionality and all this other stuff to kind of enhance the technology. So there really aren't a whole lot of options that go toe-to-toe with that. By the way, we mentioned the stylus problem on inserting it in backwards in the Note 5. They've fixed that. So if you get a Note 5 now, that won't happen unless you buy a totally, a used one from before the fix that they rolled out. So they did put in a hardware stop to prevent that from happening. And then as far as updates are concerned, Note 5 is expected to get Nougat. So you'll at least get that. That's going to cover you for the next year. So I don't think the Note 5 is necessarily a bad option in this case. Some people might disagree with that, but I think if what you want is the Note 7 and you can't get it, the next bet might just have to be the Note 5. That might be good enough. Up next, Roberto Baldwin will tell us whether we need the new Echo Dot or not. But first, let's take a minute to thank Jira Service Desk from Atlassian, the sponsor of this episode. Are you tired of clunky support tools that are a pain to use? I know I would be. Modernize IT support with Jira Service Desk from Atlassian. Jira Service Desk is a new service management software that IT teams are going to love to use. It's built on the Jira platform. Jira Service Desk delivers everything your IT team needs out of the box, and even better, at a cost-effective price. Jira Service Desk lets you give customers an easy way to ask for help. You can help your agents be productive, from putting out fires to helping employees get stuff done. You can stay on top of service-level agreements with dynamic queues and mobile alerts. Automate repetitive tasks so that your agents can focus on solving the important stuff. Jira Service Desk is simple to set up and so affordable, you won't even need your boss's approval. That's nice. Our engineering department here at Twit uses Jira Service Desk in 2 different ways. For projects, they keep track of the state of the project and the tasks that are assigned to each project as it moves from concept to implementation and then to finally tweaking that final project. And engineering tasks, the general tasks that we have here. They take advantage of Jira Service Desk's customization to track all kinds of engineering tasks and the progress made by assignees. For a free trial of Jira Service Desk, all you have to do is visit Atlassian.com/twit. The first 100 signups will receive a free t-shirt, and you can see why over 20,000 IT teams love Jira Service Desk by trying it free today. That's Atlassian.com/twit, and we thank them for their support.
The brand new smaller versions of the Amazon Echo are out. The new Echo Dot costs $50. It's even cheaper if you buy a 6-pack. Joining us with his review of the new Dot is Roberto Baldwin from Engadget. Welcome, Roberto.
Hi, everybody. How's it going?
Good. Thanks for coming on. So how powerful is the new Echo Dot compared to the $180 Amazon Echo?
It is the same thing, except you've removed. Okay, here's what's missing. It's missing the giant speaker that's inside that whole tower, and it doesn't have the dial at the top to adjust the volume. You have to push buttons to adjust volume manually, or you can just say, Alexa, turn the volume down with your voice. So I like dials more than buttons, but that's nothing, and I think most people probably wouldn't even notice it.
The other thing you can do is you don't have to just say turn the volume up or down. You can say Alexa volume 8 or volume 2 or volume 10 too. So
yeah, and that's sort of the sort of great thing about Alexa. You just kind of yell at it, and it doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter like what the form factor is when it comes down to it. But I enjoy the fact that I can plug in my speakers. So any speakers I have in the house are better than the Echo, and I've had the Echo for over a year, and I like the Echo a lot. But the Echo Dot it's $50. I'm not even sure why you would buy the Echo unless you don't own any speakers, and you can use wired speakers and Bluetooth speakers with the Dot. And I was able to get it to go back and forth between Bluetooth and wired. So if I have Bluetooth speakers in one room and the wired speakers in another, I could just say, Alexa, disconnect Bluetooth. It disconnects it, and whatever music is playing or audiobook is playing, it'll switch over to the wired speakers. And then if I say reconnect, connect to Bluetooth, it switches over to the Bluetooth speakers. And if you like yelling at your technology.
And who doesn't? Seriously,
we're doing that anyway. We might as well get some value out of it.
Get some feedback from the technology that we're yelling at. So one of the things that I hear, because I never have owned the Echo myself, one of the things that I've heard that's really great about it is its ability to hear voices from across the room, be able to reject noise in order to get your voice commands. Do you get the same results with the smaller form factor Dot, or is it at all different in that regard?
I had it next to the speaker and it still heard me. So I put it next to the speaker because, if you're going to plug it into a speaker, there's a good chance you're going to have it next to the speaker. Mm-hmm. And, Alexa, tell me what time it is. Alexa, do whatever, how much gas is in my car. It heard me about 95% of the time, which is a pretty great success rate considering, most voice controlled devices. I mean, I have Siri right here in my face, and she's just like, I don't know what you're saying.
Yeah, that's Siri. That sounds like Siri, doesn't it?
Yeah.
So I got the original Echo Dot 6 months ago. I have the Alexa, and then I have the Dot, which was more expensive. Is this one? I know this one comes in a different color. Is there any other differences between the original Dot and this one that's cheaper?
I think it's just buyer's remorse is what the difference is right now.
I definitely. I may or may not have bought two more. I have a bit of a problem.
Oh dear.
An Echo.
And and if you don't have it connected to speaker, it still has an internal speaker, so you could put it in your room if you need something that's like the Amazons talk about using it as an alarm clock, so you can say, Alexa, set the time to wake up at X amount of time, and you're lying in bed and you realize you forgot to turn off the lights or whatever, you can do that. And it has like a little anemic speaker that if it's like near you, it's fine. But just plug it into your Bluetooth speakers or into your house speakers, and you're golden. I mean, it works with Spotify, it works with TuneIn, it works with Amazon's new music, whatever, Prime Music Pro. These companies need to figure out what the name of their stuff is. But it works with Pandora and all these other things. And set it to the default for Spotify if you're a Spotify user, and I just yell out playlists and it starts playing them.
So, one of the reasons that I did buy 2 more is that I think it's really great for kids because I think, kids that, tweens and teens that might have phones, but you don't want them to keep them in their room at night because you don't want them to be texting or whatever. So, you can, my kids like to listen to music at night. They like to listen to audiobooks. So, you can get the screen, the way of texting or, Facebook living or whatever, periscoping out of it. And it's just a device that might, it's just a speaker. It's just music. It's just audiobook. So anyone who has 9, 10 year old and up kids, I think it's great, especially they can use it to turn off their lights and, those kinds of things, control the things in their rooms with it as well.
It's the next version of the clapper.
It is. So you said in your article, you say there's a good reason to be cautious about with sensitive material when you're talking around the Amazon Echo. So, especially if you're thinking about having it in your children's room. Why would you say that?
Well, I'm just naturally paranoid. I also cover security, and I found at DEF CON this year, I found out that a lot of security researchers and hackers actually have an Echo, an Alexa, which seems counterintuitive, but it's actually, people just like it. But there are instances where you're sitting there and you're watching TV or you're talking to somebody, and suddenly Alexa is like, I didn't understand what you were saying because it thinks it heard the watchword. And so when it thinks it hears the watchword, which happens, in my household every day and a half, every 2 or 3 days, it's confused because you're not asking a question, you're not giving it a task. It just hears a watchword and then just whatever your conversation is. Now, it hears the watchword and then now there's that point of your conversation. So it sends that up to Amazon. It also ends up putting that information in the app. Now, I'm just paranoid. If you're going to talk about something sensitive, just you can mute it. You can turn off the mic and you can talk freely and not worry about Alexa accidentally hearing that you're doing something. And if you're sharing, let's say you're like best case scenario, it does this, and you're planning a birthday party, a surprise birthday party, and it hears you, and then it puts that information back into the Alexa app because it'll tell you things that you've done throughout the day in the app. If someone else is using that app, they're going to see that you're planning a birthday party for them, which is kind of a bummer.
Right. Or if your children happen to ask it things words they might not necessarily
Alexa,
use in front of their mom.
Did mom by chance tell you that there's going to be a surprise birthday party for me? Yes or no?
Yeah.
Sorry.
And, if you're extra paranoid about more important things in your life, then definitely, turn that microphone off when you're having those conversations. But for the most part, your daily, watching TV and just yelling across the room, how many quarts are in a gallon, it's pretty great.
Sure. Now it comes in a 6-pack. You had said at the top. Can you link all 6 of those together to have an Uber Echo House?
Well, you can put them all in the same account.
Okay.
So, and while one's doing something, another one can. So you can listen to a book on one of them, and then you can listen to audio on another. And it depends on Spotify usually only allows you to listen to music on one device unless you have a family account. But you can. I had them in two rooms next to each other, and I was able to. You can. I want this one to do this one, and this one to do this one. So if you have 6 of them, you can potentially do the same thing. I don't have 6 of them. I don't even have 6 rooms in my house, so my apartment. But if you have a large house and you want one in the family room, one in the living room, one in the kitchen, one in the bathroom, the bathroom's a great place for it. I don't know how long it'll last because of steam and whatnot, but you get your daily briefing, you can get your traffic thing. There is one issue with traffic. It only allows you to put one destination. So if 2 people in the house commute, one of you is, figure it out with Waze, I suppose.
You can, depending on how far away it is from your bathroom too. I can control it from my shower if I want to change something.
Just yelling things from the shower?
Yeah. Yes, I do. I really talk a lot about what devices I use in the shower on this show. I might want to think twice about that.
Echo!
That is literally what I do. So
order shampoo.
Well, I think, Roberto, you have some cats. You might consider this for their holiday gift.
Oh yeah, cats love Echo. No. They've knocked over the tower a couple times. So the Dot, if you have cats who like to just walk up and knock things over, the Dot is probably because they can't.
Smaller
it's got the little rubber stopper.
Right.
Yep.
But the tower, they're just like, huh.
But you are right. that you can use it. You can use them for listening to different things, but the big issue is that you can't. It's not like Sonos where I'm listening to Twit in one room and I go in another room and it's and you have to if you have more than one, I have to use different wake words for them. Otherwise, they wake up everywhere and they're not synchronous, and that can be really annoying.
Yeah,
it's really weird. You have this weird echo. Amazon emailed me today that they turned that on, the ESP on. So now I have to go back and test that feature to make sure that if they're near each other and they hear me, only one of them is going to answer. So
that'd be nice. Yeah,
that would be good.
We'll see how that works.
So real quick, you also wrote about a light rail art installation in San Francisco. What can you tell us about that?
So if you live in San Francisco or been to San Francisco, you may notice, the center of San Francisco is Market Street. It cuts from the Embarcadero all the way up through to the Castro. And it just like slices down the middle of the city. The issue is that at one end of Market Street, you have tourism, and then you have a lot of consumerism, you have all the shops. And then suddenly, like right smack dab in the middle, and for years, I've lived in the Bay Area since 2000, you have boarded up shops, you have homeless, you have crime. It's just this really weird spot in the middle of Market. And then you go a little bit further down, you hit the Castro, and so light rail is what they're hoping to do is they want to put a light system from the Embarcadero to Van Ness, and it'll be 2 LED tubes. And what they'll do is they'll actually track the trains, the Muni and the BART that are underground Market Street. And the hope is that by adding some art to this segmented main thoroughfare in San Francisco, it'll get people to sort of walk further down the street. And, if you're walking further down the street, then those shops that are right on the cusp of these sort of segmented areas from being really nice to being, not so nice, they'll start seeing more business, which means another shop will open, which means another shop will open. And it's kind of the first, there's a better Market Street project going on in the next couple of years. And this is sort of the first step towards that, is creating this sort of art installation. It'll be up for 4 years, and just sort of get people talking about Market Street and making Market Street a more of a destination, as opposed to just, tourists go and they shop at the Gap, or they go and they shop at Old Navy, and then towards the financial district, people just go to work. But then in the middle, it's just nothing. And then you have some tech companies, which are usually pretty insular. Like if you work at Twitter, you show up and you don't leave until the end of the day, and usually you leave and you get in a Lyft or an Uber and you go, and you don't really interact with the neighborhood that your company is actually a part of. And they're hoping if they, you can add more art, you have, and you have better shops, then more people will come out and they'll interact and be part of that community.
Awesome. Well, Roberto, thank you so much for coming on. Roberto is at Engadget. He's a senior editor at Engadget, and is Strange Ways on Twitter, but just leave all the values. Leave all the values and the vowels.
Don't expect any value from my Twitter feed.
Just leave it behind.
There's not going to be any value there.
Thank you, Roberto.
Thank you, Roberto.
Take care.
Thank you.
Have a great night. All right, TNT's fan of the day is at MustFind on Twitter, who says, on the too many screens theme, this is how I watch TNT. All right, so let's see here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. I don't even know. There's too many. I can't even count the screens. So you may have won, at least this time. You've won. But someone will probably...
That's a lot of screens. And you're super excited about it, too.
Apparently. What is that face? Great. I'm really happy you chose that screen to take a picture of. Thanks for sending that in, MustFind on Twitter. Show us how you watch or listen to TNT. Just record a video or take a picture of yourself or your setup. Make sure we look good in the background before you do it. And then post it on Instagram, Google+, Twitter, or Facebook, and use the hashtag HowIWatchTNT, and we'll find it.
That's MustFind's only tweet also.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Well, sometimes you just got to set up a Twitter account and send us a picture.
Yes.
So good work.
After the break, Sony is about to pay you for at least one of its broken promises. Right. But first, let's take a minute to thank ZipRecruiter, the sponsor of this episode. Are you hiring? Do you know where to post your jobs online to find the best candidates? If you want to find the perfect hire, you need to post your job on all of the top job sites With ZipRecruiter, now you can. Posting jobs in one place is not enough to find quality candidates. With ZipRecruiter.com, you can post to more than 100 job boards, including social media networks like Facebook and Twitter, all with a single click. Just post once and watch your candidates roll into ZipRecruiter's easy-to-use interface. ZipRecruiter offers optimized pages that look great on any screen. Add their unique mobile apply process for more visitors and more applicants. Find candidates in any city or industry nationwide. No more juggling emails or calls to your office. You can add multiple users to your account. Quickly screen candidates with real-world questions using free-form, multiple choice, or yes-no formats. You can also view candidate responses in conjunction with their beautifully formatted resumes. You can rate them and hire the right person fast. Find out today why ZipRecruiter has been used by over 1 million businesses. More than 125 million candidate applications have been delivered. Right now, you can post jobs on ZipRecruiter for free by going to ZipRecruiter.com/twit. That's ZipRecruiter.com/twit. We thank ZipRecruiter for their support of Tech News Today. So there are few more important issues plaguing the world today than the fact that you cannot install Linux on the original fat PlayStation 3. You can't.
You're calling my PlayStation 3 fat?
I don't know. Do you have the original fat
I do,
PlayStation 3?
Yes.
Well, those of you who've been affected by Sony's removal of the Install Other OS feature can now recoup your losses through the magic of a class action lawsuit. If you want to receive your $9 share of the suit, all you have to do is fill out a form and prove that you are the owner of an original PS3. Now, if you can prove that you tried to install Linux on the device, you will be awarded the full $55. Now, as much as I detest most class action lawsuits, the ability to run Linux on the PlayStation 3 was the sole reason some people bought the device. It was also a useful tool for developers, so I'm glad that Sony is paying up, although the lawsuit is officially still pending. You only have till December 7th to fill out the form.
Not very long, so get on it.
Get on that. So
yeah.
some of the ways that you can prove that you tried to install Linux, if you have a receipt of if you bought Linux, if you have a receipt, if you have a screenshot showing Linux installed on your PS3.
I don't have that,
no.
I didn't do any of that.
Do you have a T-shirt with tux on it and a PS3 character?
And a really good smile on my face? No, I don't have any of that, actually.
Okay. Well, you could still get the $9.
I can get the $9 at least. Yeah, and apparently you can also install Linux on a PS4. Sony never supported it, but apparently hackers have made it so.
Oh.
So, proving that Linux deserves to be installed on every single thing known to man. There you go. But yeah, to be honest, I never actually tried to install Linux on my PS3. So even if I was to try and get $55 out of this, it would be disingenuous. So I will settle for the $9 that I never expected I was getting from Sony.
Yeah.
Even though I never would have put another OS on it. Whatever. Hey, you give me the option, I'll take it for sure. TNT records live every Monday through Friday at 4 p.m. Pacific, 7 p.m. Eastern, 11 p.m. UTC at twit.tv/live. You can be part of the show by emailing us, tnt@twit.tv. Leave us a short voicemail, 260-TNT-SHOW, and find us on Twitter at Tech News Today TV.
Twit is now on the Amazon Echo Flash Briefing. Every day, get updates on the latest tech news and events from Jason, Leo, and myself. To hear Twit's Flash Briefing, be sure to go to your settings in the Alexa app, search for Twit, and then subscribe. And of course, you can find all the ways to subscribe to this show at twit.tv/TNT. And if you'd like to tweet at me, I am at Megan Morrone.
And I'm at I'm going through puberty. I'm at Jason Howell on Twitter. Thanks to our technical director, Kara Cole. Thanks to Bert for scrolling words on the screen. And thanks to Kevin for editing and making us look good mostly. And thanks to you for talking tech with us today. We'll see you all tomorrow. Bye, everyone. My voice went away.